Hey guys, Wilson here for my follow-up video to the Allman Brothers. This one's going to be Lynyrd Skynyrd, the other great Southern rock band. I go back and forth between the Allmans and Skynyrd as to who is my favorite. I was actually into Lynyrd Skynyrd before I was into the Allmans. First Skynyrd album I ever got was the Gold and Platinum album, which I want to say was '79. It was just like a double, LP compilation of stuff that had been previously released. There was a lot of stuff from the live album on there. Anyways, it was after I fell in love with that record that I, slowly went back, not all at once, and got all their regular release albums. So I'm going to look at their career in this video just until the plane crash. I mean, there's more Skynyrd that has been released after the plane crash, post Ronnie Van Zant, than I think anyway, than there was before. But I'm just going to talk about the core years here of '73 to '77, or actually '71 to '77, because I'm going to start with what was in 1978 Skynyrd's first and last, and now it's just they're in Skynyrd's first, the complete Muscle Shoals album. It's a cool little, these are recordings that were made in 2 years before pronounced Lynyrd Skynyrd. See the song titles there. They had a lot of their best songs. Boy, you can't really say it that well though, can you? Anyway, they had a lot of their best songs written and recorded before, pronounced Lynyrd Skynyrd. The original 1978 album, I don't remember how many cuts were on there, has been, augmented. Now there's 17 songs on here. So you get Freebird, One More Time, Give Me 3 Steps, Was I Right or Wrong, all later recorded. Preacher's Daughter, White Dove, Down South Jukin', that's a good one. That was on Gold and Platinum. Wine, Simple Man, Trust, Coming Home, The Seasons. I don't think that they recorded that one, did they? Later on, anyway. Lend a Helping Hand, Things Going On. They definitely do that one. I Ain't the One, ditto. You Run Around, and Ain't Too Proud to Pray. So some new things on here, which we didn't, know at the time, which they did not re-record. It functions as a pretty good record. That had it been released at the time, would have given them, a star at the beginning. But I'm glad they didn't, because they took these songs, they re-recorded them in later years and made them better. I think without exception, I like the later re-recordings better than all of the original versions. So, but anyways, if you're a fan, there you are. Skynyrd's first, the complete Muscle Shoals album, which I do recommend over the 1978 vinyl Skynyrd's First and Last, because it has more songs on it. All right, so there you go. So we come now to the epical year for Southern rock. 1973, the year of the Allman Brothers and Sisters, and the year of pronounced Lynyrd Skynyrd. This is the old MCA gold disc. I got a few of these I'll be showing you. It's a great album, if not a classic. Listen to this. I Ain't the One. That was a radio staple. Tuesday's Gone, one of the most beautiful songs ever. Give Me 3 Steps, another radio staple. Simple Man, one of Ronnie's best lyrics. Things Going On, Mississippi Kid, Poison Whiskey, and then the immortal Freebird, which was a hit. And they played this to death on the radio, and then when the live version came out in '76, they played that version to death on the radio. Pronounced Lynyrd Skynyrd, still one of their best albums. Cut for cut, virtually as good as anything that they ever did. But I'm going to say probably better in my estimation, at least in terms of consistency, is Second Helping. Now, this is the old Mo Fidelity version. This is the only version I've ever had on CD. This only has 8 cuts. They're all killer. Sweet Home Alabama, one of the most famous songs ever, as famous as Freebird, if not more so. I Need You is a great deep cut. Don't Ask Me No Questions, classic Skynyrd. Working for MCA is a wonderful song about working for that label and how Ronnie felt about it. The Ballad of Curtis Lowe, Don't ever say Skynyrd were racist when Ronnie writes something like that. Swamp Music is great. The Needle and the Spoon, kind of like Neil Young's Needle and the Damage Done. And then Call Me the Breeze, that killer, J.J. Cale number. That's the only, this is the only cover that they had done. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to tell you that these are produced by Al Cooper. Al Cooper, of course, from, Blood, Sweat, and Tears and his work with Michael Bloomfield. And I should do an Al Cooper video because he was in the Blues Project before that. Or at least do a Bloomfield video. But anyways, love these first two Skynyrd albums. Pretty much classics in my estimation. In 75, we get Nothing Fancy, which kind of unfortunately describes the album. It's good, it's solid, as any Skynyrd album is, but it's nothing fancy. Saturday Night Special, see, that's a great song, another radio staple, shows that Ronnie didn't like handguns, which were specifically designed to kill people. Cheatin' Woman, Railroad Song, I'm a Country Boy, three rather nondescript songs in a row, which kind of remind me of Things Going On, Mississippi Kid, and Poison Whiskey from the first album. But then On the Hunt is one of the great songs on here. Am I Losing? Another great song on this record. Made in the Shade is real cool. And then Whiskey Rock and Roll. Side 2 is just killer, right? Side 1 could be a bit better, but it's not a bad album. If these two are great, even classic, this is good, all right? So 1975's Nothing Fancy. In 76, we were gifted with 2 Lynyrd Skynyrd records. First one is, I got the deluxe edition here, the double disc set of Give Me Back My Bullets. They worked with Tom Dowd here, who would work with Clapton and, Derek and the Dominoes and Dwayne Allman. This is a good little set if you want to pick it up. It's got the whole album, of course, remastered. It's got bonus tracks, live versions of various songs, and then it has a DVD, like a filmed concert from the Old Grey Whistle Test in England. So a lot of bang for your buck. This is probably their worst album, but it's not bad. I don't quite like it as much as Nothing Fancy, but let's go over the songs. Getting Back My Bullets is another classic. He's not talking about guns here or bullets which go into guns, folks. He's talking about bullets on the Billboard charts. He wants another hit, on the radio, because there really wasn't a hit on Nothing Fancy like there had been on the first 2 albums. Every Mother's Son, Trust. That's one of the songs I remember from the first and last album. I Got the Same Old Blues is pretty good. Double Trouble is good. Roll Gypsy Roll is good. Searching, Cry for the Bad Man, and All I Can Do Is Write About It. So perhaps not a whole lot of classic Skynyrd tunes, not even as much in my estimation as on Nothing Fancy, but a bunch of good ones. I'm not going to complain about this album. It's still, if we're going to use Rolling Stone's 1 through 5 star ratings, I'd still give it a 4. I would still give it a 4. But if you're not crazy about that record, they are redeemed that year with the awesome One More from the Road. This is also the double disc version. I won't go over all the songs. I don't think there's anything new on here, but let me look. Traveling Man, Simple Man, Tuesday's Gone, Call Me the Breeze, T for Texas. Is that Jimmy Rogers? God, I can't remember now. Sweet Home Alabama, Crossroads, the Robert Johnson tune, which Cream made famous. Nope, I guess that's about it. So they add some extra songs on here. This is in 76, the Atlanta Fox Theater was recorded there, expanded, remixed, and remastered. I love it. I wish that there were more, video of Skynyrd that we could see. They opened for the Who, in England, and did quite well from what I hear. Depends upon whether you talk to Who fans, though. But anyways, it's no, Live at Fillmore East, but it's better than, that Allman Brothers album from the same year. When it check the windows, wipe the wipe the windows, check the old dollar gas, whatever it's called. And I like that one too. I just like this one better. And our story's coming to a close already, unfortunately. Street Survivors. I think this was the original LP cover. But this is the MCA gold disc, just like the first one. And another classic Skynyrd record. By this point, they had added Ed Gaines. That's the guy in the red, the guitar player. And Cassie Gaines as a backing singer, his sister. Which, I guess there's no pictures of the girls here. No, oh yeah, okay, there you go. There's a better picture of the original LP cover. But this is a great record. What's Your Name? That Smell. Two classic Skynyrd songs open up the record. One More Time is great. I Know a Little. I used to hear that on the radio. You Got That Right is one of their greatest ever songs. I Never Dreamed. Honky Tonk Nighttime, man. That's Merle Haggard, right? I don't remember now. Which is rare because Skynyrd didn't normally acknowledge their country roots like that. You know, mostly they would do like blues things. And Ain't No Good Life. This is their best record since the first two, I think. Best studio album, anyway. So then, unfortunately, you know what happens next. And that's probably the worst plane crash since Buddy Holly, or at least since Otis Redding. Anyway, they don't really have a huge, career comprehensive box set, but they do have this 3-disc set. I think it's just called Lynyrd Skynyrd, right? It's got a lot of unreleased stuff on here. So you don't buy it thinking that you're going to be getting 3 CDs covering their well-known recordings. It's that, but it's also a lot. Like, it opens up, there's demos. Junkie's a song that we didn't know, right? He's Alive. A demo of Down South Jukin'. God, disc 1 is almost all demos. And then a few, normal cuts from the first album at the end. Disc 2 is, well, there's hardly any demos. And is there anything new on here? No, not really. No. I mean, no songs you don't know. Disc 3, more live stuff. Georgia Peaches. What's your name? Honky Tonk. Yeah. So, not a lot of new stuff in terms of songs you didn't know, which are classic, but a lot of demos and live recordings. And, again, I bought it back when it came out in the early 90s. This is my same copy I've always had until they get a better one. And they may never get a better one because, physical media is not something that the labels are promoting anymore. So anyways, it's a short video, 13 minutes. I'll stretch it out for a couple more though. Thoughts on Lynyrd Skynyrd. Like I said, I don't really have a horse in the race of who was the better Southern rock band, Skynyrd or the Allmans. The standard answer when you talk to people about that is that the Allmans were better musicians. That combination of Dwayne and Dickie, even the 3 guitar players in Skynyrd couldn't compete with that. I like Ronnie Van Zant as a songwriter probably more than Greg Allman. I think Greg had a better voice, but I have no problem with Ronnie's voice. I love hearing him sing. But Skynyrd had the songs. They were more of a classic rock band making songs meant to be heard on FM radio in the 70s. Whereas the Allmans did not, that wasn't their goal. They wanted to be great jazz-like musicians in concert. Now, a couple caveats to that rather black and white statement I just made. That doesn't mean that Skynyrd were not great in concert and great musicians, because they were. And that doesn't mean that the Allmans could not write great songs, because they did and could. It just means that that's the first thing I think about when I compare the two bands. Skynyrd had the classic rock songs more than the Allman Brothers. You heard them on the radio more. That's why I bought a Lynyrd Skynyrd album before I bought an Allman Brothers record. The Allmans were better in concert, at least, in their prime, they were. So, anyways, that's it. Not a lot of people will watch my Allman Brothers video, so we'll see how this Skynyrd one does before I ever pick up the reins and try and do another Southern rock one. I'm going to do ZZ Top. I don't know if they're Southern rock. They're more like blues rock, you know. That's a conversation we could have, you know. What's the difference between blues rock and Southern rock? If you come from the South and you're a blues rock band, you know, I don't know. Anyways, so Lynyrd Skynyrd, one of the great bands of the 70s. I still listen to them today, still enjoy them. Hope you do too. Matt signing off.